Hey guys, my name's Gavin. Welcome back to a brand new video. Today I'm back and I'm going to be showing you guys how to make cool sounding piano loops inside of FL Studio. This one's like a super cool emotional thing that I made the other day. Let's do it. So follow me on Instagram if you haven't already at gavinhadley_. And I haven't posted a video on YouTube in a while. I'm going to be back daily. Maybe. I released a loop kit a few days ago now. It was over a week ago. It's called the Dilemma Loop Kit. It's going to be linked down below in the description. Alright, so with all that said, let's get into the video. If I look like super orange, like Donald Trump-esque, it's because I'm using a different filter on my camera. First thing, we're going to expand. I'm using the 4-minute control piano. Super cool piano, super unique sound. We're going to take all these effects off for now. A lot of effects on here, but what I did is I made like an effect chain for this like piano sound that I'm going for, and then I just drag and drop that on, so I don't have to worry about adding all of these effects in this order with all of the presets within them on. So that's what that is. And if you're interested in me making a couple of like effect chains or something for like pianos and like ambient bells and like vocal stuff, feel free to let me know because I'm more than happy to do that. Now we can get into the melody itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is start with the bass notes, and I like to try to explain my melodies in the most helpful way possible when I'm breaking them down like this. I think the best thing to do is start with the bass notes that we build the chords off of. So it goes F down to C sharp, and then G sharp, and then D sharp, lowest notes in the progression. Super common progression, and I'm throwing out a lot of ideas right now, but if you want to see a video on how I make my chord progressions, and as well as like an example of just a bunch of different chord progressions, just let me know because I really want to make that video. But continuing, so we have F sharp. These notes are all just put down too. So it goes F sharp, and then G sharp, and then C sharp. C, and then the C is put up an octave, and then I incorporated these notes. So think of like these. That's our top line right there. So think of that as part of the chord. And for this is actually a part of the chord technically too, but I added a little grace note, which is something you can do if you put the third or like the middle note in the chord up an octave. You can add a little grace note for one of the notes. You could do the middle note, probably not the bass note. That might not sound bad, but for this I did the top note or the fifth, and I just moved it over. Lower the velocity on this, as you can see, a lot. I feel like when you do that with grace notes, it kind of blends it in a little bit better, but this is what it sounds like right now. So I really wanted to give these two chords here, these last two, like a unique presence, and the way I did that was by not adding a bunch of notes in this area. So as you can see, we have like more notes playing here. And also they're in like a lower register compared to the other side of the progression, as you can see. And I feel like lower frequencies can go a long way when it comes to like carrying a more amount of like emotion, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's that. It's the first progression, and I just added this little pluck thing. Just two notes that I picked out, and I feel like they did a really good job transitioning back to the start. And then the melody is basically the same. I just have this part here. Yeah, I switched up the end too. Instead of having a note here, I just moved one down, and I added this guy in right here to give it a little bit of bounce. There's also like a note right here. I lower the velocity on that one a lot, as you can see. And yeah, that's basically that. Super simple progression. Hopefully I was able to give you guys more of an understanding of the madness that's going on here. Really all it is a lot of different octave changes. So like if we move that down, that down, that down, see how much simpler it already looks. The next thing I went ahead and did was add all these different effects on it. So it's just, I'm not really gonna go too in depth in terms of explaining. Just RC20 decapitator, what that's going to do is just distort it a little bit, give it a little bit more oomph. An EQ right here, just these frequencies. This is actually a preset inside of the EQ. If you just go to it, you'll find it. Cassette, the tape feel, that's what RC20 is doing too, and a little delay, and this is what it sounds like. So you can see it sounds a lot more just like full of life, and like it's coming through like a tape. You guys all know this by now. This is pretty common stuff. We have addictive keys. What I did here is the same exact thing, just in addictive keys. It's the Time Flies preset. And a lot of people ask me why I use addictive keys and not keyscape. I do use keyscape, but I like to use addictive keys because the pianos in it have a lot more texture. I feel like they're just more unique sounds than the Omnisphere piano. like all of like the grand pianos. They're super cool sounding, but I just like the way these ones sound. They're a little bit more unique than the Omnisphere ones. After that, we have this top line that I played on the MIDI keyboard, just switching between a bunch of notes. So yeah, super simple pattern there, and what I did to make it sound like it was being played, and also this goes a long way with like the rhythm and just the way the melody is presented. I just messed with the velocities a lot, as you can see, a lot of like Jurassic movement. Don't be afraid to like really screw with your velocities and when you're making like piano beats and stuff, because it's gonna make it sound a lot more realistic if you do it in the right way. I feel like when I hear a lot of piano loops and stuff, the top lines are like either like too loud or too out in front. What I like to do is like turn down the velocities a little bit in them. As you can see, like this top note here is super quiet compared to everything else, like the general like line there, and then all of these except this guy. This top guy had a little bit more volume on it, but again, it's important to break that, because when you're playing the piano, you're not going to do it perfectly, and all the notes aren't going to be at your ideal velocity, and that's kind of what makes it special and unique, like when you're recording actual piano. Okay, so addictive keys, I just EQ'd out some of the low end. So you can see what it's doing. And I just put it up an octave here, and now I have this really cool tip. It's like that, there's that cool, like, I don't know if I call it futuristic, but like just interesting thing going on here. So what it is just an F and then a C, but I rolled them like you would roll a hi-hat or something, and then I staggered the velocities on them going downward, and then I also have a version of them at F6 here and then F7, and the same for the C's, and then I moved the top ones over a tiny bit. As you can see, they're a little bit staggered. So that's what I did there. Just a super cool, unique sound. So I put all the same effects that I put on the other piano that you guys saw earlier, except I added a little bit more reverb and then more delay as well. Okay, so I exported out that top line here. I put it here. It's the same thing, just turned down, and then I have crystallizer on it. I have muffled up octave and echo boy, and that's just gonna give the top line a little bit more depth and like a unique underneath part of it that just gives the sound a little bit more character and fills it up a little bit as well. After that, the loop gets pretty simple. We just have a bass here just following the root notes. It's the Growler Moog bass from Omnisphere, and it's turned down a bunch, and then RC20's on it. I think adding RC20 to bass, especially in like these melodic emotional type loops where everything is getting that sampled sort of feel, adding RC20 on bass is super useful, especially like the noise, and then adding like reverb to it. So that sounds counterintuitive, but it sounds pretty cool. And then I turned the width knob to the left and distorted it a little bit too, and yeah. And then after that, there's only one more sound. It's just this bell counter melody. Super simple, but it goes a really long way. So I picked out a couple notes that I like. Super simple pattern, as you can see, but then these slides go a really long way. These introduce a bunch of new notes into the melody that weren't really there, because it's a slide. It's like sliding between notes, but so yeah, that's that. And then I just switched it up for the second part here. We go up. When I do my slides, I like to make like the slide notes themselves pretty like short, like the faster slides. Like if you elongate it here, so like I think like that doesn't sound bad, but I just like it to be a little bit more tight. I feel like it sounds better that way. And yeah, I think that's it. Is that it? Yeah, after that I just have everything here, and then I have one sound at a time. These pianos, I'm treating them as one thing, and then we have the top line here. I'm treating these as the same too, because remember that one's just the one with a little bit of additional effects on it that's turned down in volume. Then we have the top line, and then or the like bell thing, and then the bass rendered out. So on the master channel, I just have a parametric EQ. You guys heard it on the whole time, but it really wasn't there. What I did is just boosted the high frequencies a little bit, messed with like these frequencies. These are going to be your best bet for trying to add to that vintage feel. And then I also lowered the bass a little bit this area. Boosting this area goes a long way. And yeah, this is just a really cool way to give your samples a different sort of feel before you export them out, especially if you're not happy with a couple of little frequencies here and there. You can use this, just mess with the knobs, and it'll change the feel entirely of it sometimes if you do it right. We're back. I'm gonna be going hopefully every single day. Comment down below what you guys would like to see next from me, and I'll try my best to get to it. Have an awesome rest of your night, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.